Hey everyone, so a little bit of a different video today, but I just want to do something a little bit more personal and have a chance to kind of like interact with you guys a little bit more, because I've not been live streaming so much recently, mostly just because when I moved house I didn't have internet at first, and now since I've moved here, I don't know, I've been struggling to find like a time when I feel kind of like comfortable and happy to do it, but I do want to do it again. But the point is, I wanted some more kind of like, ooh, is my laptop being loud? I wanted some more like interactions with you guys and to kind of like answer your questions, and yeah, so I thought I'd do a kind of like little Q&A video today. I asked you guys for some questions on Twitter, and that's mostly what we're going to be answering today, but there's also a few from the little Q&A I did on Instagram the other week that I didn't get a chance to answer on Instagram that I'm going to try and answer today. Does that make sense? Okay, let's jump into it. So my first question is from Data Jack on Twitter. I absolutely love him, he's amazing. He asked me, what would be your favourite topic to speak about at the next Faithless Forum? What about for a panel discussion? Ooh, this is definitely interesting. So this year at Faithless Forum, my talk was about kind of finding purpose as an atheist and as a secular activist, and also kind of a little bit about community and kind of understanding that even though we're all there as atheists, we're all individuals. So I feel like maybe expanding on that a little bit more, and maybe talking about the psychology behind like why we want communities and if it's a good idea or not, and comparing kind of like an atheist community to a religious community, something like that could be quite interesting. But ultimately, I think whatever I talk about it, I want it to be like inspiring and empowering and make sure that people feel good about themselves. I don't just want to be there to talk at people and just kind of inform them about stuff. I want to make sure that whatever I talk about is something that I feel passionate about and that's going to help other people feel passionate about anything from atheism and secular activism to charity work to just being who they want to be, just something like that. My favourite panel from this year's Faithless Forum was one I did with all the girls. So it was with Zara was there via a like webcam, and Shannon Q and Christina Rad were on the panel with me, and it was amazing. And initially, it was meant to be just about like dealing with hate comments online and dealing with like engagement with people like that. But it kind of ended up with us talking a little bit about like what it's like to be women and like female creators online and how that differs from like male experiences and stuff. So I think it would be really good to be part of a panel with like a really diverse range of people. Because again, that was one of the things that came up about how, you know, we were kind of the only women at Faithless Forum and everyone else was mostly like a straight white male, and it would be really great if we had more voices. And so I think I said at Faithless Forum, like, we need all those voices from all these different people with different experiences. We need people who are part of the LGBT community. We need creators from different like backgrounds and different countries and different races. We need transgender people. We need like all sorts of different people. We need people of all ages. We need the younger creators. We need the older creators. We need everyone. But it's important that they're not just there as tokens. It's important that we have these different voices because they all have something different to say and a different perspective. And yeah, I think it would be amazing to be a part of any panel that really kind of celebrates diversity and kind of brings people from different backgrounds together, and we can kind of like talk about our experiences and really share that stuff. I don't know, am I rambling? Maybe. But that would be amazing for next year to be part of something like that. Bad Tempered Badger asks, have you ever thought you might be too gentle in your responses? Ooh, this is quite an interesting one. Honestly, sometimes I think I'm a little too angry or a little too snarky, and I get worried that I'm being too harsh on people. As much as I kind of like try and talk about this idea of criticizing ideas and not people, sometimes that is difficult when you get kind of personally touched or emotional in your responses. So especially when I was doing my videos about like Debbie and Michael Pearl, and they're literally talking about abusing children. It's very hard to stay rational there. It's very hard to stay impersonal, I guess you could say. And so I did feel sometimes at times I was being too harsh on them as people. But then again, I'm like, well, if you're going to write a book abusing children, maybe you don't deserve that much empathy from me. I don't know. It's a weird kind of like internal struggle, and I don't always know if I'm going too far or not far enough. I definitely lack a lot of social awareness anyway, and I'm not very good on necessarily knowing how I should act in some circumstances. I'm not very good at necessarily knowing the right thing to do socially or what's expected of me socially, which means that when I do respond to things in my videos or in person, you always know that my reactions are just genuine because I'm never quite sure what people expect from me, and I'm never quite sure what the right way to do things are, so I just kind of do what feels right to me at the time. And yeah, sometimes I might be too easy on people, and sometimes I might be too harsh on people. But yeah, I guess the only thing to do is really express myself and then learn from it. That's all I can really do, and that's all any of us can do, really, isn't it? I'm sorry, I missed off your username, so I'm not sure who asked this. But one person says, what made you want to start doing YouTube? When I moved to London, I was working in digital marketing, and I worked for this company that I really wasn't happy at. I didn't like my boss, he was a bit of a micromanager. And I went from being like head of marketing at this other company, having like a little team of people that I managed, to being a one-person team at this smaller company and having a boss that literally like spell-checked all my tweets and stuff like that. And he was a real micromanager, and it just wasn't the kind of environment that's very inspiring. You don't end up feeling very passionate about anything you do. You don't really feel you have much ownership over anything you do because he was so like in your face the whole time, and I just wasn't enjoying it. So I quit kind of on a whim. And I started doing bits of freelance marketing for some musicians and some artists in London. And while I was doing that, I was like looking for other kind of projects to do on the side. And I was like, you know what I've always wanted to do? Be better at makeup. I used to be terrible with makeup. I never had any confidence to do anything. And I never worn colours like this like 3 years ago. Not a chance. I just didn't have the guts, the confidence, never mind the skill. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to learn how to do that. So I started blogging to kind of like, I guess, track my progress. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to start making some videos for myself. And so I started doing that, not expecting anyone else to watch, not thinking anyone would watch, and no one really did. But then this one day and I've told this story a few times, but it was something about an election in the UK or something to do with politics. And I was just looking for another young woman in her 20s talking about who she was going to vote for and why, and I really struggled to find it. So I was like, screw it, I'll make the video myself. And then a few people started to watch it, and it got a bit more attention. I was like, you know what? Maybe there are some people who are interested in my opinions or care about anything I have to say, so let's give this a try. And so I started talking more on camera and talking about my opinions and sharing some of my experiences, and it just took off from there. So it started as a little passion project for me wanting to kind of like track my progress learning a new skill, and 2.5 years later, here I am. Isn't that weird? Unholy Sarah or Sarah. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know if your name is Sarah or Sarah. I've always said Sarah in my head, but now I'm not sure. She has a YouTube channel, really great, love her stuff, go check her out. I'll link her channel in the description down below. She asked me, what was the last really impulsive thing you did, and was it worth it? Oh, this is really tough. So I have a terrible, terrible habit of acting impulsively and then overthinking it afterwards. It's like the worst of both worlds. I did quit my last job impulsively, the one I just spoke about, marketing one. It was just a Monday morning, and I was just like, I couldn't go into work, and I was dreading it. I was like, screw it, I quit. And I did. I don't regret it. I've never looked back. It's the best thing I've ever done. Other than that, I guess I've only done mildly impulsive things recently. I think it was, 2-3 weekends ago now, one of my friends from uni who I haven't seen him in like 4 years, maybe a bit longer, no, about 4 years. But he just like messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, do you want to get coffee? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's have a catch up. And then like probably half an hour before I was due to go, he just like texted me and was like, actually, screw that, do you want to go rock climbing? And I'm not a sporty person. I don't do exercise. I'm not good at any of that stuff. I'm like the least physical person you'll ever meet. I just have no like awareness of my body at all. But just like on a whim, I was like, screw it, let's do it. Let's go rock climbing. So I changed into a pair of leggings and we went rock climbing. Just completely on a whim, and it was so much fun, and it was terrifying at times, and there were times when I just like froze on the wall and I couldn't go any further, but Theo was amazing. He was so encouraging, and he kept like telling me what to do, and when I did things right, he was amazing, and he like cheered me on and hugged me, and he was incredible, and I had the best time, and it was so much fun, and I did get cramp in my leg, and I did pull a muscle quite badly in my shoulder, but it was so worth it, and it was the best day. So I enjoyed that a lot. Patrick Etheridge says, do you think it's a net positive or a net negative, the anonymity the internet provides people, specifically as it relates to people that comment on various platforms like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc.? I think in a lot of ways the I think in a lot of ways the anonymity, anonymity of the internet can be a great thing. There are a lot of people, especially like, because I'm on Reddit a lot, I love Reddit, I'm obsessed with it. And I see a lot of the time people there who want to be anonymous and share their stories, share their experiences, get advice, give advice, just help each other out. I think the anonymity there is a fantastic thing because it allows people to open up and share and connect with people where they might be afraid to or ashamed to or worried to do otherwise. And so in that case, I think it's a great thing. However, I do think overall, especially on platforms like Twitter, especially in like YouTube comment section, I do think on places like that, it's a net negative. a net negative. Because on the whole, people don't use I guess you could call it a mask. They don't use that for positive. They don't use that to open up to people. They don't use that to ask for advice on platforms like Twitter or YouTube. They use it to bully. They use it to name call. They use it to judge. And yeah, I don't think that's very nice. I don't think it's useful. I don't think it helps anyone, especially not the people who are doing it either. I think it's like one of these things that gives them like a little bit of a high at the time, and they're like, ooh, said something mean to this person I don't like, ooh. But that's not going to make you happy in the long run. If anything, I think it's going to make you feel worse overall. So I think on some platforms, anonymity is a great thing, and on others, it is the worst thing in the world. I think a lot of the time the world would be a better place if, when we talk to others and make judgments, we actually have to face some consequences for the things we have to say. Zena says, in your opinion, is it better to be the big fish in the small pond or the small fish in the big pond? As someone who's been both, I definitely think small fish in the big pond, because I love growing and learning new things. And when I first moved to London, especially, I felt completely out of my depth. And I definitely felt like the tiniest little bit of plankton in a massive, huge ocean. But I felt myself growing and getting bigger and learning and meeting all these amazing people since I've been in London. And it's just been the most amazing, wonderful experience. And I couldn't go back to that small pond in South Yorkshire right now, even if I wanted to, which I definitely don't. When I do go back there at Christmas, I just feel so out of place. And I feel honestly unwanted. So I definitely think small fish, big pond, challenge yourself, grow, and, you know, the bigger the pond you're in, the quicker you'll grow, if I'm honest. And that's the goal in life for me. I just want to keep being a better person, keep learning more, keep doing new things. That's what I want. Natasha Wingate says, I grew up with religious abuse trauma in my childhood. I'm so sorry. No one deserves that. It's absolutely horrible. I'm sorry. I'm working on starting a YouTube channel to discuss my experiences and such further. I've set up a little studio and done my research, but I live in a religious area and worry about backlash. Have you experienced this? Do you have any advice? Well, first up, good luck on your channel. I'm really proud of you, and I think it's amazing that you want to share your experiences and talk like this, and I can't wait to see what you do. In terms of backlash and stuff, not so much from religious people, but definitely from people in Yorkshire when I've spoken about my experiences of what it's like growing up there. Some people get incredibly mad when I talk about Yorkshire in a negative way. And I'm like, just because you've had a great experience there, you had a great childhood there, it doesn't mean that I did. And just because you enjoyed your time and you didn't experience what I did, it doesn't diminish the suffering and pain I went through. And I think you need to look at it the same way. There's definitely going to be people who are angry with you for speaking out about something that they love and care about, but that doesn't diminish your experiences. That doesn't make what you're feeling, what you experienced, what you suffered any less. You have every right to talk about what you experienced. You have every right to be honest and say how it made you feel and what you went through. And you have every right to help other people who are going through the same things as you. Everyone experiences things differently, and one person's experiences don't diminish another's. So just as long as you're not saying, well, because I suffered, that means you can't enjoy this, this, and this, then they also have no right to say to you, well, just because I enjoyed it, screw your suffering. It's about kind of mutual respect, and sometimes it's very hard to respect other people's experiences if they're not respecting yours, but sometimes you have to take the higher ground there and just be like, well, I know what I experienced and I know you're wrong, and leave it at that. If you're worried about people finding out and you don't want to face the backlash, don't worry about trying to stay anonymous for a while. Feel free to not show your face at first, to not use your real name, nothing like that. Know that people are going to support you no matter what you do, whether you choose to show your face or not. And if you do want to remain anonymous for a while, absolutely fine. If you do want to stand up and say, no, I'm going to share my experiences as me, then just know that people like us are also going to have your back. So if you do face a backlash, we're going to be here for you, to support you and help you through it, and yeah, you'll get through it. This is F Sky Daddy? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. You asked, while we can all agree that the emphasis religion puts on girls' virginity is messed up, what do you think about the reverse? The pressure people get, especially past a certain age, to not be virgins anymore. I'm a 20-year-old virgin girl, and I feel like poop for being one. Love you. Oh, well, thank you very much. I love you too. The problem is, being a woman, no matter what you do, there's going to be someone out there who judges you. If you sleep with one person, if you sleep with no people, if you sleep with 100 people, there's going to be people who judge you, or any number in between. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be too much or too little for one person or another. Too little and people think you're boring. Too many and people think you're a slut. And what I might think of as too many, someone might think of as nothing at all. What I might think of as nothing and just a bit of fun, other people might be like, that's disgusting, stop it. It doesn't matter what other people think, though. Ultimately, it's your body, and you've got to figure out what you're comfortable with, what you're happy with, and only do what you're ready to do when you're ready to do it. If you don't want to sleep with anyone right now, don't do it. There's no pressure maybe there is pressure, but there shouldn't be pressure. You shouldn't feel any pressure because there's nothing wrong with that. The thing about things like sex is that it should be a very personal thing for you, and it should be an enjoyable thing. It shouldn't be something you ever feel obligated to do. It shouldn't be something you ever feel guilty or ashamed about. It should be something fun and enjoyable that you do because it makes you feel good, or it makes you feel closer to another person, or whatever. There's various reasons to have sex, but the point is it needs to be your reason, and you need to be doing it for the right reason, and you need to be doing it because it feels good for you. Don't bother working to anyone else's timelines or society's timelines, society's standards. Do what feels good to you. Do what feels comfortable to you. And if people are shaming you because you haven't had sex yet, then screw them. They must have very boring lives if they care that much about what other people are doing with their vaginas. You do you, babe. As my jumper from my last video says. Madeline asks, kiss, marry, kill, or be eternally tickled if kill isn't your thing. I don't know, I think eternally tickling is worse, to be honest, so you monsters. Too harsh. Kent Hovind, the transformed wife, and Girl Defined. Damn. Well, Girl Defined are the only mildly attractive ones there, so we'll kiss them. We're definitely marrying the transformed wife, because she would basically be like a slave to me. Like, oh my god, can you imagine it? She cleans every day, she cooks for me every day. Oh, perfect. And sorry, Kent Hovind, but I can't stand you anyway, so you have to be eternally tickled. Sorry, mate. Mark Ofiv? I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm really sorry. Asks, are you done with college? If yet, what course did you take? Yeah, I graduated back in 2016, started in 2011 actually, but I changed course and did a year out as well. I started off doing biomedical science, but then realised I didn't want to go on to do postgraduate medicine. It was what I was thinking of doing at one point, but then I realised like it just didn't feel right for me. I wanted to do something more kind of creative and a little bit out there with my career. So I did an internship, got really into marketing, and so I switched course to business, and that's what I did. And I've spoken a little bit about this in other videos. There's also, if you want to find out a little bit more about like my education and background and stuff, check out my website. It's racheloates.me or racheloates.me, whatever you want to say. There's an About Me section on there where I talk a little bit about my background, my education, what I studied at uni, why I studied it, how, even though I did business, it was more of like an applied science, and I did modules in like biology and neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, ethics, statistics as well. They were horrible modules. Yeah, it was like a bit of everything, and it was definitely an applied science, and it was very, very interesting. But yeah, I talk a bit about that on my website if you want to go check it out. And also over there you can see all the other stuff I've done in my life. There's some gig photos, some animal photos, there's pictures of dogs that I know, there's paintings I've done, there's everything on there. That's like a hub for everything creative I do, so you should check that out if you're interested in whatever. That's actually all the Twitter questions for now, and I haven't even touched on Instagram yet, and this video is very long. So you know what, I might make this a part 2 or a 2-part of words. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to film the second part with the Instagram questions straight after this, and if you guys like this video and it does quite well, I will post the second part for you if that's something you guys are interested in. There's some pretty interesting stuff on Instagram, so I'm kind of excited to talk about it. Less serious and work-related, and more just kind of like fun stuff than this. But yeah, for now, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this. Otherwise, let me know your video suggestions for future videos and stuff that you'd like to see me talk about down in the comments below. But thank you for watching today. Stay tuned for part 2 if you want to see it. But for now, thank you for watching. I'm probably rambling. And yeah, see you guys again soon. Huge thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon this month, with a special thank you going to Data Jack, Trae Sprowles, Gambit and Chauffeur, Liv's Pantyhose Addiction, Mark Dauner, Christian Berg, Nathalie Romer, Simon Lundh, Jadeon Sheppard, Robert Korte, Peter Kyrouac, Sir Michael Moore, Christina the Atheist, Sage Villarreal and Loren Hart. You guys and everyone supporting me on Patreon are absolutely amazing, and I couldn't do this without you, so thank you so much. And remember, if you are supporting me on Patreon, you can get exclusive access to my Discord server where you can come join in the conversation. So hopefully I'll see you guys over there. And thank you all so much!